Yo! What's up, guys? We are back! How is everybody doing? Welcome to the stream. We're here, we're live, we're hanging out, and I've been away for a couple days. In fact, I've kind of been on and off on the channel for like the past 2 weeks, and I apologize for that. I keep wanting to hopefully get back to our daily grind, and, stuff just keeps coming up in my personal life, and it gets me all caught up. I'm doing the best I can to manage both my personal life and my, YouTube life. And, so until I get my shit figured out, we might be on and off for, like, the next week. And then hopefully things will die down and we can go back to that daily grind. But I'll be doing the best I can to be here as often as possible. That being said, we've already done a little bit of stuff revolving around Google Stadia. And I just want to say, first and foremost, if you don't know what Google Stadia is, it's basically... This is a bad way of describing it, but it's basically Netflix, but video games. But with Netflix, you pay one price and you get access to all of the content. With this, you still have to buy each individual game, or you can get the Pro membership, which is a monthly fee, which gives you access to about 10 games for free, but then you still have to pay for any of the other games you want. So, it's like Netflix for video games, but worse. Because the business model is kind of all over the place. But you can play video games, and the idea is that if you have, like, some really underpowered hardware, but you want to play the newest games, you can have Google run those games on their hardware and stream it to your shitty hardware and get the same performance, theoretically. I don't know why I air quoted theoretically, but I should have air quoted, same performance. In concept, it's a good idea, and Google isn't the only people doing this. I believe PlayStation also has a similar thing, albeit with a much better business model. So it's a really cool idea. So you have to buy the stuff as well. So Amazon Prime for video games. Yeah, there you go. Amazon Prime Video, but it's video games. Which actually, I think Amazon is coming out with their own video game thing, if I remember correctly, so... I don't know. Everybody's trying to get into the video game sphere. But we tested Google Stadia in a previous stream, and I was thoroughly surprised with what it was capable of. Albeit on a very good internet connection. If you have shitty internet connection, it's not going to be as good, obviously. Because you can run this on pretty much anything that has internet connection and a screen. But if your internet connection is shit, your overall experience is going to be shit. Because instead of relying on things like CPU, GPU, RAM, all that isn't really in the picture, because that's all being handled by Google. What you're relying on is internet connection, which in some places of the world isn't really a very stable thing. So it's a good idea in practice, but results may vary. I've actually, since the stream that we did last time, I put up a video that was about 23 minutes of Destiny 2 gameplay on Stadia that I actually played myself. And I made sure that when recording that, I was recording it at the native frame rate and as close to the native resolution as possible with my setup. So you guys could get a nice apple-to-apples comparison. And even in the description, I went over the network setup I was using, as well as my network speeds. So you guys can watch that video, look at that information, compare it to the network speeds that you have, and then you can get a general idea of what Stadia would be like in your, environment. So, that being said, we're back here, because in the previous stream, I went out of my way to make sure that our live stream and Google Stadia were running on completely separate networks. And I did that because I wanted to give Google Stadia the biggest advantage it possibly could have in my setup. But this time around, I'm running the stream and Google Stadia on the same network. And the reason why I've done that is because I want to see how it handles with bits of the bandwidth being eaten up by other devices. So we'll see how that goes. And on top of that, I have since the last stream actually spent a night at my grandfather's house where I tested Google Stadia on a Google Chromebook that's a couple years old on my grandfather's Wi-Fi. And I can say that although it was not as streamlined of an experience as I had here, it worked for the most part. Certain games just weren't playable. Destiny 2 wasn't playable in that state, in my opinion. But Grid, the racing game Grid, that was still very playable. And a few other games like that were still very playable, even on like a 3-year-old Chromebook off of my grandfather's Wi-Fi. So, results may vary. That being said, one other thing I want to touch on before we get started is that I had a few people comment on my previous Stadia video that you can get better results with Stadia when using a Stadia controller. And I've dug a little bit of research into that, and apparently the Stadia controller, from what I understand, connects to Wi-Fi. So that your inputs, instead of your inputs going to your device and then from your device to whatever server's running the game, it just goes from the controller straight to the server, as far as I can tell. Excuse me. Which is a very good way of doing that. That was a really good idea on their part. Apparently people are saying if you're using the Stadia controller, that the latency that I experienced sometimes in, the previous stream is basically non-existent. So, if you guys would like me to try to get my hands on a Stadia controller so we can try that at some point, just, let me know. They're a little expensive right now, so I'm not going to do it unless I get, like, a really high demand for it. But, we could try it out. From what I've read up on it, it should fix a lot of the issues I had in the previous stream with Stadia. Granted, I still don't like their business model. That's probably my biggest problem with Stadia, is their business model. What they should have done is do something more along the lines of Game Pass over on Xbox, where you just pay one monthly rate and you get access to all the games. That would have been much better, in my opinion. But instead they did this weird mishmash where you pay a monthly rate and you get access to probably about 10% of the Stadia library, if that. That's being a little generous. And then all the other games you still have to pay for. And then some of the games you can get discounted, but you still have to pay for them. So, it's a weird business model. I wish they would just go purely subscription based, but it is what it is. That being said, we're gonna give them another go this stream, and I'm interested to see how this turns out, because like I said, this time around, I'm running both Stadia and the stream off of the same internet connection, and on top of that, I have not disabled any other devices that would normally be running on that internet connection. So the first time we tested this, Stadia had its own internet connection separate from the stream and everything else in my house, so I could give it the best possible chance I could. This time, I'm not doing that. I'm just going how I would use Stadia normally if it were something I were to use on a daily basis. I am still using a wired connection, but that's mainly just because my PC doesn't even support Wi-Fi, so yeah. It's a streaming PC. You don't need Wi-Fi. You need that wired connection, man. Anytime I can get a wired connection, I always go for it. I'm old school. Man. Did you see what I posted on Discord? I have not yet. Let me join your Discord. If the bot is working, you should just be able to type !D and it should give you a link to it. But anyway, that being said, let's hop into some Destiny 2. We'll see how that goes. I've actually had a lot of fun with Destiny 2 on Stadia. I've been playing it a little bit. I haven't really been doing any of, like, the actual quests I'm supposed to be doing. I've just been loading up the Earth levels and just replaying those a couple times over. But let's load up some Destiny 2. We'll see how that goes. Let me get my headphones real quick so I can actually hear the game. That would be nice. And one thing I didn't find out about Stadia, which I didn't realize before, if you press Shift and Tab if you're using a keyboard setup, you actually get this nice little menu here. And you can check your connection, you can link a controller, you can go to options, start a party. Like, it's actually pretty nice. You know, even Nintendo Switch doesn't even have their own party lobbying system, so it's nice to see that Stadia does. And on top of that, you can also just hold the escape button to close the game, which is not something that I knew previously. So before, what I was doing is, whenever I wanted to close the game, I would hit the home button, which would bring my mouse out of the game, and then I would just close the web browser and bring it back up. But I actually don't have to do that anymore, because I know how to do it properly with that menu. That's something I figured out on my own when I was playing around with it in my spare time. I only care about this. What Nintendo games are there on there? Well, I wouldn't think there'd be any, because generally speaking, it wouldn't be an exclusive Nintendo game if it was on something that wasn't Nintendo. So don't expect to find Smash Bros. Or Legend of Zelda or anything like that on this, because those are Nintendo exclusives. I'd actually have to go through the list to see if there are any Nintendo games on there, but I wouldn't think there would be. Nintendo is usually pretty close with their IPs, but right off the bat, I can say the visuals look really well. This mouse movement is mostly responsive. There's a little bit of latency, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible. This is just the menu, though, so we'll see how it goes from there. Let's go ahead and load up a mission of some kind. Oh, we can scroll up. I didn't even know that. I haven't played much Destiny 2. I was always a Destiny 1 boy. I used to play the fuck out of that. Whoa, okay, so we had a little bit of a mouse skip there. My mouse was here, and then suddenly it was way the hell over here. You know, Stadia seems to do that with the keyboard and mouse controls. But But yeah, people were saying if you get the Stadia controller, that's not an issue at all. Let's see. So I posted that you can get Google on Nintendo Switch. That's pretty sweet. Can you get it, like, natively? Like, is it just an app you can download now? Or is it, like, some weird workaround to make it happen? Because I know you can load Facebook and Twitter on the Nintendo Switch, but those aren't natively supported, so it's kind of weird to make them work. You have to go through this weird, like, loophole to make it happen. And even YouTube, before YouTube was natively supported, you could load on there, but it was this weird, like, jumping through hoops to make it all work. But yeah, that being said, we have some Vanguard strikes we could do. Ooh, this can give me exotic gear, but I'm not allowed to do that yet, apparently. Let's do some of these. Let's do some of these little things. No, it's not an app. Yeah, I didn't think so. I think I know how you get it. Then it's probably the same thing you used to have to do to get the Facebook to load on there. Let's see here. There we go. My setup's a little bit in disarray because I was away for a couple days, and also half of my setup I took with me when I left the house, so I'm just now putting everything back together. I actually have a lot of stuff I need to sort out, but, you know, again, the visuals on this look really nice. I'm pretty happy with that. So far, I'm not seeing any major issues with the game or the stream, for that matter, because they're sharing the same network now. I was expecting to see a little bit of an issue, because, you know, I would imagine, I don't know how much bandwidth the stream or Google Stadia actually take up off the top of my head, but I would imagine it would be a lot. So having them both run on the same network and they're still working relatively smoothly, I'm pretty surprised, actually. Not to mention I have a bunch of other miscellaneous devices that are on the network, like my phone or the Roku in the living room, for example. Granted, those don't eat up nearly as much bandwidth, especially when they're not actively being used, so I would think their effects would be pretty negligible. But it looks like we have one friend who is going to be accompanying us. One other thing I want to do, let's see. Here we go. One thing I do want to try is I want to try PUBG again on here, because last time we tried it we couldn't find any players, but apparently there are people who do play PUBG on Stadia, so we'll give it another shot and see if we get any luck this time. So far, this is looking pretty playable. Again, I'm noticing a little bit of latency with my mouse movements, but nothing that I would classify to be unplayable. So I'm seeing a lot of the same issues I had with the previous stream, which were all very minor issues. So I'm overall pretty happy with what we got going on here. Oh, we have another friend now. Nice. So we have 2 hunters and a titan. Cool. Yep, there's Yep, okay. Cool. We're not gonna walk in that, because that would be bad. Yeah, I wouldn't think there would be any Nintendo games on there. Not any exclusives, anyway. Which a large majority of Nintendo games are exclusive. Actually, does Nintendo even have any multi-plat Nintendo games? I can't even think of one off the top of my head. Surely they do, but I can't think of one off the top of my head, so, like, maybe they don't. Fucking Splatoon would have made a really good multi-plat if they would have allowed it. That would have been a really nice game to go multi-plat. Obviously, they're not going to do that, but, you know, I feel like Splatoon would be a nice game for them to make a multi-plat out of. The hell is this? Why is there a fucking waypoint on that? It's just like a random crate, but there's a fucking waypoint on it. There we go. Okay, we're not doing too bad, actually. Hell yeah! I like the shotguns in this game. They're really fun. Let's see. Of course, Donkey Kong was an arcade game well before it was NES. Yeah, I feel like the arcade games don't really count. Mario Galaxy was on an obscure device only in Japan. Yeah, well, there's a lot of Nintendo games that get, like, very obscure releases in other countries. Especially, China's a really good example of that. Because you have things like the IQ player, which I feel like most people don't even know exists. The IQ player was a device released by Nintendo in China. And what it was... Ooh, that's a really good item we just got. Well, for early game, that's a really good item. But yeah, anyway, so the IQ player was released by Nintendo in China around the time of the N64's lifespan. Like, right around the time the N64 came out. And what it was it was essentially an N64, but it was remarketed as the IQ player, and that's because video games in China at the time were kind of outlawed. It wasn't until about 2013 that video games in China became no longer outlawed, and even now the video game market there is very sketchy. So they released this thing called the IQ Player, which was basically a rebranded Nintendo 64. And, if I remember correctly, it had, it came packaged with a copy of, Mario 64, if I remember correctly. And, like, the entire device, was basically just a giant controller that you plugged into your TV. And they actually did a similar thing with the Game Boy. There was an IQ Player Game Boy at some point as well. I I want to say it was loosely based on the Game Boy Advance SP, if I remember correctly, but I might be wrong. But yeah, if you look at some of the stuff Nintendo's done in China, you'll find a lot of obscure stuff that they've done like that. So it's not exactly unheard of for Nintendo to take their IPs and put them on kind of obscure releases like that in foreign countries. But even then, it's always still Nintendo exclusive because the brand IQ is a subsidiary of Nintendo. So it's still in-house nonetheless. But yeah, you can look into a lot of Nintendo's history and find little weird, quirky things that they've done like that. And actually, what they did with... oh shit, that's not good. What they did with... What they did with the IQ player is actually a very similar story as what they did with the NES here in America. It's because at the time, the video game market in America was crashing, and they wanted to bring the NES over to America, but because the video game market here was crashing, they had to be very... Ooh, that was really bad. That was really laggy. They had to be very careful with it. So what they did was they paired the NES with things like Duck Hunt and the little Nintendo Zapper, or things like Rob the Robot, for example. And the reason why they did that was so that in America they could market the NES not so much as a video game console, but as like a toy, like an interactive toy. And it was because of that marketing strategy that the NES was successful and later went on to revitalize the entire video game market in America. And it all came down to things like Rob the Robot and the fucking Nintendo Zapper. So they've done similar things here as well, like that. But yeah, that being said, the only real third-party releases I can think of Nintendo's, and even these might be a little off, because Nintendo might actually make these in-house as well. Because I know Nintendo used to make in-house arcade machines. I don't know if they still do. But if you go to places like Dave & Buster's, they'll have, like, Mario Kart arcade machines. Which I don't actually know if those machines are made by Nintendo or if they're made by some third party. But that's the only examples I can think of Nintendo games on third party devices off the top of my head. Would be the arcade machines. Which even then might still be made by Nintendo, because I know way back in the day when arcades were still very prevalent, Nintendo made their own arcade machines. I don't know if they still do, or if they license that out to other companies to make them. I'm not sure. But I know if you go to places like Dave & Buster's, you can find the Mario Kart arcade machines, which are actually really fun. I've played them. The machines are made by Namco, I think, the Mario Kart ones. That actually wouldn't surprise me. Namco has a very extensive history when it comes to arcade machines. And they actually have quite a history with Nintendo, for that matter, so that wouldn't surprise me. That would not surprise me in the slightest if that were the case. Why are we all walking this way? This is not the way we're supposed to be going. I'm just following this guy, but I'm pretty sure we're supposed to go in there. But, you know. Oh, that was pretty bad. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely I'm definitely experiencing the same issues I had with Destiny 2 last time we played it, but now they're a bit worse and a bit more frequent. But again, I would still classify this as playable. And that's just because last time we had Stadia running on its own network. This time we didn't do that. Because I wanted to see how it would run with other things on the network. And I say this is still playable. But I'm noticing the same issues, except this time they're much more frequent. Like, the latency is a lot worse than it was in the last stream. And every now and then we'll have like a little bit of a skip where the server just kind of lose track of which way I'm facing, so I'll be looking this way, and then all of a sudden I'll be looking over here. So, I mean, I would still say this is very playable, though. It looks good. I'm not noticing any sort of, like, screen tearing or the resolution drops or any sort of frame skipping, so, I'd say this is still very playable, but the issues I was having before are still here, just a little bit worse. But oh, see, that was a really bad skip there. That was a really bad skip there. That's exactly the kind of stuff I was talking about. Oh, I was gonna revive you, but, you know, whatever. So the thing about this is that, the thing about this is I'm still using a pretty damn good internet connection. On average, I have about a 38 megabyte per second speed for downloads, and my upload speed is probably around 8 megabytes per second. So we're using a really good network connection there. And we are using a wired connection instead of wireless, so that does help. But this time we are using other devices on the network. The stream is being run by the same network, and I have a bunch of miscellaneous devices connected to it as well. So the fact that it's still able to be playable in that state, I'm pretty happy with. Granted, if you have a terrible internet connection, you're not gonna have a fun time with this. Also, I have no clue where we're going, because I don't think this is where we're supposed to be going on this mission. I'm just following these guys. Well, I guess now they're following me, but, you know, whatever. The Mario Kart ones are made by Namco. Pac-Man is a playable character. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. I've played them briefly before, but I don't remember seeing Pac-Man in them. It was a long time ago, though, so maybe I just forgot, but that's pretty cool. Honestly, Pac-Man would fit right into Mario Kart pretty well, actually. God, they need to make just a Mario Kart, but Super Smash Bros. Just like Super Smash Bros, but it's Mario Kart. So it's still Mario Kart, but you can play as like any of the characters that are in Super Smash Bros. And you have like levels and items based on all of those franchises, or at least the vast majority of them. That would be cool. Granted, that would be a fucking legal nightmare for them to get the licensing to do all of that, as I'm sure it is just to get them to do that for Smash Bros. And I don't know if Nintendo would want to have two games that require that much legal negotiation to manage, but, you know, I think it would be a cool idea nonetheless, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who's thought of that. Super wanna smash in my car later tonight. Bro. That's funny. I have no fucking clue where we're going. This is not the way I went last time I played this level. I mean, there's still enemies for us to kill, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But this is definitely... Yeah, this is definitely not where we're supposed to be going, because my waypoint says we're supposed to be way the fuck over there. So I don't know what the hell these guys are doing. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and leave Destiny 2 here for now. So we are going to exit. You know what? That was good. I wouldn't say excellent, because there was some latency stuff, but that was good. That was good. It was playable. It looked nice. I didn't notice any, frame drops or visual artifacting, so I would say that was good. But there we go. Again, people did tell me that if I got the Stadia controller, all of the issues that I'm experiencing with latency would basically be non-existent. So if you guys want to see me try out the Stadia controller, let me know. I might pick one up. I might pick one up. I might see if I can get one really cheap on eBay, actually, because I bet there's people selling them on eBay. Let's see. Let's go and... Let's try PUBG again, if I can find it. They're alphabetical order, so it should be down here somewhere. There we go. Because last time, we didn't see hardly anybody playing on PUBG. But I do know that people play it on Stadia, so we'll give it another try. And we'll see if we can actually find people to play with this time. Because we didn't really get to give PUBG a fair shake the first time around. Alright, so right off the bat, the cutscene froze. That's not good. That's not good when your pre-rendered cutscene freezes. Unless this is actively rendered, but I highly doubt it is. Because why would they make an actively rendered cutscene for something like this? So yeah, that's right off the bat, that's not a good sign. Also, I always thought PUBG was, like, the more serious battle royale. Why the fuck are they walking around here with fucking Barney the dinosaur? Did they see the success of Fortnite and was just like, we need skins now. We need stupid, over-the-top costumes now, because that's what Fortnite has. Did they sell out to try to be more popular? Because I know back when I played PUBG, they didn't have any of that nonsense. Okay, so we still have our guy. Still looking pretty good. I don't really like the visuals of this menu. And it's been a long time since I've played PUBG, so I'm not sure how much of that is Google Stadia and how much of that is just the way the game normally looks. But I don't... it looks... This screen... I would say would probably be more comparable to, like, Nintendo Switch graphics. I said that in the previous stream. And I still stand by that. But, maybe that's just how the game works normally. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've played PUBG, so I don't know how much of that is Google Stadia compressing stuff and how much of that is just the way the game looks. it looks like we're still gonna have a little bit of an issue finding a public match. I will put a disclaimer, I did manage to get into a match when I was playing this at my grandfather's house. But, oh, here we go, we found one. Nice. But it wasn't really that playable at my grandfather's house, because, you know, his internet's not quite as good. And I was playing on, like, a 4-year-old Chromebook on Wi-Fi. So, yeah. Alright, but here we go, we found a match. I was gonna party up with you. Okay, it looks like we have we have voice chat here as well, apparently. After the match is done, I don't believe they can hear me because I don't have a microphone connected. Is there a way for me to mute them? I should probably mute them. Okay. Do they not have a chat? Do they not have a chat volume? Do they not have chat volume on here? I guess not. Well,
it has something called team management, and you can, like, I think, mute people or report them. But
how do I? Here we go. Team management. There we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. We're just gonna do that. There we go. So, visuals look pretty good. I'm noticing a lot more latency with this game than I was, Destiny 2, which is kind of strange. Because I would think they would perform similarly. However, God, why can I not say that word? God, I'm having a fucking brain aneurysm. Similarly. There you go. Similarly. I would think they would perform similarly. But, I'm noticing a lot more latency with this one than I was Destiny 2. Which is very strange. Not exactly sure why that is. Also, when does the game actually start? Because we have players. Everybody gangster till Barney pulls out his Glock. Bro. Bro, this dude. Simularly. Simularly. Oh, God. I was having a bit of a brain aneurysm there for a fucking moment. English is a fucking hard language, man. And that's bad, because it's my native language. But, you know, they actually say, there's a lot of linguists that say English is, like, the hardest language to learn. I could believe that. I could honestly believe that. So, you know, I don't know how true that is, but I could believe it. There's a lot of weird little subtleties to the English language. So I could definitely believe that it's the hardest language to learn. Luckily, I'm fortunate enough to grow up in an English-speaking country, so it was just my native language, but, you know, as you can see, even I struggle with it, fucking almost 23 years later. So, it be what it be, man. Okay, when the fuck... Oh, we have 69 people who've joined. Nice. But do we have to wait for there to be 100 people? Are there even 100 people that own Stadia? God, that was a fucking roast. I'm sorry, Stadia, but, you know... Even though I think the Stadia service, now that I've actually played it, is good enough if you have a good enough internet connection. That's the big thing. If you have a terrible internet connection, don't even bother with Stadia, because it's just not going to work. But in my experience, you know, it gets the job done. Is it everything that they advertised it would be? No. But can you play games with it, provided that you have a good internet connection? Yeah. Yeah, you could play some games with it. So, I think it's okay. I don't like the business model, but, you know, that's a whole nother issue. But Stadia was always kind of just, people never took it seriously once it launched. And I feel like the general consensus now is that a vast majority of the community has already forgotten that Google Stadia even existed. So, and those who do are like very, you know, oh, it's Google Stadia, haha, what a joke, you know. And it's easy to be on that bandwagon, it really is, because I'd imagine for a majority of people, Google Stadia probably sucks. Because it's heavily reliant on your internet connection, and I'm fortunate enough to live in an area with really good internet connection. But I know a lot of people who don't. So, I'd imagine a lot of people, it probably fucking sucks. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't think it's terrible. I feel like the marketing and the business model are probably pretty bad. I feel like that's, if nothing else, that's where they went wrong with Stadia. If nothing else, that's where they went wrong with Stadia, was the marketing and the business model. Because the marketing and just the horrible launch of it, there was a lot of features they said would be there that just weren't at launch. And even now there's a lot of features that they said were going to be there that aren't there. And the game library isn't really that big either from what I'm seeing. So, I mean, I understand why people kind of gave up on Stadia. I wouldn't be surprised if Google themselves give up on Stadia. Yeah, they have a long track record of starting projects and then never finishing them. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. But, I don't know. I don't think it's terrible. And I don't think it's terrible. I think it is what it is. And if they just revamped the business model to make it purely subscription-based, where you just got all of the games for one monthly rate, I feel like they would be doing a lot better. Because then they could just be the Netflix of video games. You know? Just do Game Pass, but without the Xbox, basically. That would, you know, they would do much better doing that than doing what they are now. But I feel like even if they fix everything, even if this experience, they update it, they beef up the servers, whatever they gotta do, I feel like even if they did do it, and they made Stadia absolutely phenomenal, you know, 4K, 60 FPS all the time, no latency, you know, just tons of fucking games, I feel like people just wouldn't care. Because I feel like the general consensus is that the community has already given up on Stadia. The negative stigma has already been placed. And Google's going to have a long uphill battle to make up for that. So I'll be interested to see where Stadia is a year, 2 years from now, if it even still exists a year or 2 years from now. I would like to see what they do with it. But, ooh, he's got a Stadia exclusive frying pan. You see that? It's got the Stadia logo on it. That's actually kind of cool. That's actually kind of cool. I wonder if he had to pay extra for that. I wonder if pro members just get that for free. Do I have a Stadia frying pan? Fuck, where's my Stadia frying pan, man? I want my frying pan, damn it. Oh shit, I'm being shot. Yeah, I can definitely see why Fortnite was more successful than this. Even though, you know, this game kind of set the stepping stones for what a battle royale is in a modern sense, because, yeah, there's a lot of games that you could technically call a battle royale that came long before this game. But, you know, this game kind of set the stepping stones, and then Fortnite just made it a lot more marketable, I feel. They made it a lot better to look at, I'll say that much. Wait, post what on community tab? Wait, hold on. Wait, what happened? Where's my phone? Hold on. People are freaking out about something. Hold on, I'm waiting for this shit to load. You said something was up on the community tab? I haven't posted on there in a little while. I don't know. Yeah, I don't see anything unusual on the community tab. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, this fucking dude. This fucking dude. Just, oh shit, now I'm dying. You see what you've done? You've killed me. You've killed me for the memes. You've betrayed me, Romarsh. You have betrayed me. I'm just joking, but you know. There we go. Okay. I'm alive, but I'm hurting. How do I use my medkit? No, I gotta use my medkit. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me, bro. Why is pressing 7 the button they mapped to using the medkit? That's fucking weird. That's fucking weird. Okay, whatever. Whatever, it's fine. There's a gas can. I don't know why I need that, but okay. Oh wait, can you drive in this game? I know you could on the mobile one. Oh fuck, I'm being shot. Oh fuck. Where are they? Where are the guys? Is that a guys? That's not a guys. Where's the guys? I'm dying. I'm dying! Oh, that guy's dead. Great. Fantastic. I suck at this game. It's playable, though. It's definitely playable, and that's all we care about. Ah, fuck. And we're dead. Nice. Okay. Cool. What time is it? Let's see. 11:15. Alright. I think I might have to wrap up here. Unfortunately. Sorry I've been kind of out of it for the past 2 weeks, you know, on and off on the channel. Not putting out as much content as I normally do. I've had a lot of changes in my personal life recently, and I'm just trying to balance all that out right now. But once I get everything, once I get all my shit together, we'll hopefully get back into the swing of things. But I will be live streaming tomorrow, hopefully a little bit longer than I did today. But overall, is Google Stadia worth it? I feel like that's a case-by-case basis, and I know that seems like a little bit of a cop-out answer, but let me explain. One, obviously, if you have good internet, because if you don't have good internet, then Google Stadia just isn't fucking playable. So the what I see Google Stadia being good for is a person, one, who has access to good internet, and two, doesn't have any fucking modern consoles or a proper gaming PC, right? They want to play the games, but they don't have the hardware to do it. If you're that person and you have good internet connection, Stadia is perfectly fine. That's a viable option. If that's the scenario you're in. Like, when I go to my grandfather's house and I didn't bring my Switch with me for whatever fucking reason, and all I had was a 4-year-old Chromebook, Google Stadia, bam, I can play some games right there. Granted, my grandfather doesn't have the best internet connection, so some of the games weren't playable, but most of them were. So it's a case-by-case basis. I don't see myself using Google Stadia frequently, other than to make content on it, like I am now. And that's simply because, I have a PC that's capable of light gaming. It's not able to do, intensive loads, but, it can run Overwatch at 60 frames per second. It's a fairly decent PC, and on top of that, I have an Xbox One S, a PS4, a Nintendo Switch, and then a bunch of retro consoles. So, I'm gaming 9 days a week. I know a week only has 7 days. It's a fucking joke, but anyway. Because of that, I don't see myself as the target audience for Stadia. Do I think Stadia's bad? I think the business model needs a revamp. I think they should go more a purely subscription-based service where you pay one price per month and you get access to all of the games. That would be better in my opinion. And I think that provided you have good internet connection, I think it's a viable option if you have no other options. And that's what it just comes down to. It's a viable option if you don't have any other options, right? And in today's world, there's so many people that either have a PS4 or a Nintendo Switch or a fairly competent PC. Notice I didn't say Xbox One because those didn't sell very well, but chances are you probably either have a PS4 or know somebody that has a PS4 or have a Nintendo Switch or know somebody who does. So, I mean, it's a very fine market. Now there is the whole being able to play on other devices, which, other than playing on the Chromebook I previously mentioned, I haven't been able to test that, and that's because the list of phones that currently support it are practically non-existent. If you have like the Razer phone or the ROG phone, or Google Pixel, then you're pretty much good to go as far as playing Google Stadia on a phone. But if you don't have any of those, you pretty much can't right now. They did say eventually it will be available on pretty much any current phone, or any fairly modern phone. But right now, that's just not an available feature. And then, as far as tablets, I don't own a tablet. I don't think I've ever owned a tablet, and I don't think I ever will own a tablet, because I'm not a tablet person. I have a phone, which can do pretty much all the same things a tablet can do, and it's a lot smaller. But, whatever. If you own a tablet and you love your tablet, that's fine. Love your tablet, whatever. I don't own a tablet, so I can't play Google Stadia on a tablet, because I don't own one. So I haven't been able to try Google Stadia on other devices other than this PC and a really old Chromebook laptop that we have lying around. And on both of those, provided you have good internet connection, it was playable. So the target audience for Google Stadia is very misconstrued, very, very scattered. I'm not really sure who the target audience is, but in my opinion, the target audience is anybody wanting to play video games, like somewhat recent video games, and just don't have any other options. That's the target audience, in my opinion. And honestly, nowadays, with as big as gaming has become, I don't know if there's too many people left that are in that scenario, especially with the resale market where you can pick up, some last-gen consoles for a couple bucks, maybe. Well, obviously more than a couple bucks, but, I could probably go online and pick up a used Xbox One S for probably $70 to $100 if I'm lucky. So, I mean, if you have Stadia Pro, that's about the equivalent of having Stadia Pro for 7 months. So, I mean, I just don't understand what they were thinking with the business model, and I don't fully understand who the target audience is, but it's a cool concept. I think with a little bit of reworking, it could be very successful. It just feels like it was rushed, and it feels like the marketing just wasn't great. But do I hate it? Surprisingly, no. I thought we would get into this and it would be a complete dumpster fire, and, we'd have some laughs and some memes and, whatever. Oh, Stadia's so bad. Oh, it's a fucking joke. And, to a certain extent, it is still. But not for the reasons I previously thought. If you have good internet connection, it's easily playable. And probably the biggest benefit of Stadia is that you don't have to download anything. That is a huge benefit for people. You just see a game, you click play, bam, you're there. And especially for younger audiences who maybe you're using the family computer and they're like, oh yeah, little Timmy, you can use the family computer, but you're not allowed to download anything. You can just be like, well, I don't have to download anything to play these games, So that's a pretty cool aspect of it. I do very much like that feature. But is it enough to sell me on the whole experience? I don't know. I feel like if I didn't own any consoles, I would probably use Stadia frequently. But the thing is, I do own consoles. So I could just play those and not have any of the issues that I experience with Stadia. So that's how it is. But anyway, hopefully you guys found this somewhat helpful. I don't really know if this was supposed to be helpful. But at the very least, if anybody didn't know what Stadia is, now you know. And if anybody was on the fence about getting Stadia, now you kind of have an idea of what you'd be getting into if you got it. Granted, do your research on your internet connections. Again, my internet connection that I used with Stadia is a wired connection with about 38 megabytes per second download speeds and about 7.8, maybe 8 megabytes per second upload speeds. If you have similar speeds, you should be fine. And if you don't know how to check your speeds, just go into your web browser, search internet speed test, and there'll be a little thing that pops up. You just click start, and in a couple minutes, it'll tell you what your internet speeds are. So, there you go. That being said, we're going to wrap up here. I'll be back later tomorrow with some more stuff. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing tomorrow yet, but we'll figure it out. And, yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing any other content on Stadia for a little while. If I do decide to get the Stadia controller, we'll probably do a video trying that out. But other than that, we're going to leave this whole Stadia chapter behind us and move on to some other things. So, for now, thank all you guys for watching. Shoutouts to the member board. As always, we got Shadow Black Red, my kick-ass mama, Fun and Crazy Sunny. And if you want your name on the member board, gotta hit that join button. But for now, thank all you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Come on the crab babes. I'll see all you guys next time. Goodbye, guys.